Welcome back. We do have our super chats a little bit later. If you do want to join them, the link is on YouTube. We also do have a membership zone that has the pre-release content. The YouTube membership by next month may change. I am leaving it as is till then. But I will be touching base with the members what those levels will be. But at this point, this is what the levels are, and this is what we have. So let's get into the joint connection for this week and see what we have coming up. And we do have super chats later. I got a pretty busy day, but then when don't I have a busy day, right? And Divine Feminines at the moment are probably having an awesome time. Hi. Let's see what the ruin cast is. Oh, I love it when things just go according to plan. I'd say the transits aren't helping that happen, but, you know, I've just pulled the ruin cast and straight off the bat, I found it in the book. It's nice when things happen, right? Let's get an Abraham Hicks card. See what the overarching energy is, what we need to know. That makes sense. Okay. Well, that's a whole story. What are you giving us? Well, it could be that I'm going to put these here because it does feel as though we do have a lot of different little matters coming up at this point. I think it could be family and home. It could be nostalgia of the past. I definitely feel the tension points and fatigue. You know, flashbacks pretty normal, and I do feel that there is a lot of flashbacks that we're having in the context of certain things. I definitely feel that collectively we are looking at the value in things and trying to find balance. And I think finding balance at this point is a little bit hard. It's almost like, you know, pushing through the forest and chipping through all the vines to get to the castle, and you're wondering if you can continue on. But in the context, do try and persevere, because I do feel it's because of the South Node in Libra that the radical changes we're going through at this point in time is directly because of that. So we really just have to persevere forward, know that the status quo of what things are at this point in time, it's not going to be that permanently, but the radical changes you are directly spiritually, emotionally, and physically going through right now are going to be for the bigger picture. So it's either delay the inevitable or have to deal with it for 2 years. Let's be, you know, it's contextual, honestly, but it's more if you are finding yourself having to address something quite large, address it. Don't avoid it, because it is going to make this transition over the next 18 months a lot easier. That's all I can say. It's like it's going to be like this forever if you keep everything the way it is. I mean, the South Node was Scorpio. Yeah. So the South Node was Scorpio, passion and love. It's like people not having energy. Is the buck worth the grind? You know, kind of that as a metaphor. So it has been pretty heavy. Let's get one for Divine Masculine. Ooh. We've got 3. Okay, and whatever they want to give us for Divine Feminine. Divine Feminine is going through big changes. It's very personal. They're internalized, they're externalized. I definitely have seen through the twin flame videos that I've done for the members. You got 3 as well. 2's company, 3's a crowd. There's a lot. Like, are you going to feel tired? You are, but it's like fight or flight mode at this point. Is it going to get easier? Not if you don't start changing it now. Trying to logically deal with the fatigue, but also logically make those changes. And if you don't, it's just going to continue like that for 18 months. Does that make sense? Anyone else had that notion coming up for themselves? Wouldn't be surprised if you were going through a huge purge on your home. cleaning, getting things in order, getting into some set kind of routine so that your life can flow a little bit more effectively. The other thing I'm noticing is analytical mind. We can get quite fatigued. Some, depending on your zodiac sign, it can be almost like headaches coming up, third eye, throat chakra. And there are particular zodiac signs that, you know, are going to be more prone to getting run down. And there are other zodiac signs in the context of your ascension, your twin flame path, and your life in general, that you're going to find this to be a very foreign time you're moving into. And I do believe that's probably the earth signs, but the air signs are going to go through very radical changes. So those of you that have heavy air sign placements, you may find that you're having to make drastic changes at this stage, but it is for a given reason, and it is something that is going to help you really flow through for the next 18 months. So try and trust the process. Let's see what's coming up in the joint connection. And masculine. Been multitasking. How have we all been? Have you been flowing through, or have you not been able to see the hay for the clouds and you've gone into hermit mode? If you need to cry, it's a healthy release. The other thing you can do is, I could say exercise, like pounding the pavement, getting that energy out. And sometimes we can be saying, hey, we're really tired, especially if you're coming home after work or whatever you're physically doing. In a physical sense, you can feel more tired. Fixing up hurricane damage. Yeah, well, I did say that, you know, we had an earthquake here, 5.6. We do have Cancer and Taurus in our chart over here. Uranus and Taurus, usually you'll find 2 weeks into it, there can be something that happens, and it can be earlier, especially with Uranus and Taurus, but it's going to be sudden and drastic. And I did say to a couple of the crew at work, because I do have 2 jobs, is that we could have power outages. And in fact, we did have power outages. The power went out. Venus can also affect your plants. I have got my potatoes in the garden, and I noticed they were looking a bit frail. So it's about nurturing the things, looking after the things, looking at our resources. Environmental things naturally can happen. And we have actually had, we were having quite a bit of issues with technology. And that more than likely is because at the moment, Venus is in Leo, the sun, and the sun is having flares coming off it. It is in minimum at this point. And so the solar flares and the Aquarius moon linking to technology, a lot of astrologers were like, no, we won't really have anything huge. And I was like, no, we're going to. It's Aquarius, and Pluto was there at 0 degrees. Is it making huge hard aspects? No, but we did have power outages because it does and can link to Uranus and Taurus. So big changes, especially with celebrities at the moment. If you have noticed that there's been passings of celebrities, quite horrific situations happening with them. Leo can be the celebrity. It can be kings, queens, presidents. I think Meghan Markle was mentioned. She's going back into movies or a series or some show that she used to be in a while ago. And I'm loosely mentioning these things, you know, because of the transits, because Leo, we even had superstars really on strike due to wanting more fairness and equality in the industry, especially because Aquarius can relate to IT, and all the changes that we're having are directly impacting media, you know, replacing human beings. There's the paranoia. What will it mean for the future? Society has always gone through these changes, and we've always continued. But we also can be very nervous really navigating these circumstances. I was laughing with my twin the other day because he was asking Alexa to select a song for him. And it's almost like the technology is creating a profile of you. So they know your specific songs after a set point in time. They're building upon it, and they're directly profiling you. So they do know my partner's choice in music already within a week. So let's have a look at the joint connection. And what I say coming through. For some, it can be a family-related dynamic, but it's also, while we are going through these changes collectively and within the twin flame connection, you also may be finding that your children are, because Leo can relate to children. So it's Venus retrograde, protect your safety, protect your children's safety. Missing persons cases can come up as well. We do have the Abraham Hicks card, and it is mentioning babies are thinking and attracting before they are speaking. I did notice this with my nephew. He's very protective of my twin, and he said something last night which was quite hilarious. Now, this also can be our childhood situations coming up and not knowing how much those things directly impacted us. And I know a lot of mediums and guides on YouTube do talk about this a lot, and it's not that we are constantly unpacking our demons. It just happens to be that because we do have Venus in Leo, this is the creativity, it's the child, but it's like connecting back in with that. Some of us are finding it very difficult to find time for play. That could be because you're doing all the maturity, all the adulting, in a short-term goal. Even if you look at between now and September as a short-term goal, to achieve those and to do the hard yards, you may find that your life proceeding forward is going to be a lot easier. It's not going to be like this permanently. It's just something that we're moving through vibrationally. But there's also this creativity that is really, we're needing to be creative. We're needing to go back to the innocence. You may need to go back into the connection with your twin in notion or in the 3D in a very childlike, fresh way. This can be, bringing the playfulness back into the connection, but bringing the happiness. And some of you also could be wondering where the innocence of that connection has gone. So it could be serious. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so the motivation, in a sense, it's almost like if you have seen a repeating story for a long time, it can be like a broken record. And so we lose that vibe. We lose that innocence. We lose that belief in fairy tales and stories that can come about in a very positive way. And also because the communication, if it's been choppy or it hasn't been there, it's almost like we really need to be thinking why we are feeling this way, being in that awareness of why we're feeling this way. Why is particularly because we are, it feels a little bit like a soul walk-in. In the joint connection, both parties are going through a physical transformation and definitely divine feminine. So we can really personalize things at this point with our passion, with our love. It's almost like food don't taste that good, if you get what I'm saying. Things aren't, the motivational factor isn't there. It can be a time where we feel unmotivated, run down. I know with Mars retrograde, I always hate seeing Mars retrograde. I'm like, heck, we are going to be so tired. It is going to be like dragging our soldier bodies through the dirt trying to achieve anything. At the moment, it can feel like that because you can go on and off food. You can be looking at love really zealously and then just going, oh, do I really want to do this? You can be looking at your money and your finances, your dress, your image, your health, your diet. It's almost like a nagging parent. I'm just going to say it's like a nagging parent, but we're doing it to ourselves. The Virgo energy is going to be super critical. It's going to be obsessive in certain areas. It can be used effectively if it's in an area. And that can be, okay, I'm going to be vigilant with my wellness. I'm going to be vigilant with my documentation and paperwork. But if it's pushed towards divine masculine, generally a Mars transit is something that feminine needs to keep real close attention on. So if you are listening to astrology channels and they're talking about that position, one tip I can give you is use that in your own personal life, because it's usually in our own birth charts. It's something we're seeking inside the other person, but it's something that we actually have a skill with and we have to enhance in ourselves. So Mars in Virgo is going to be getting us to be looking at details. Being maybe looking at information and not personalizing it, making it, simplifying it so that we can understand the context of what we're dealing with in our twin flame path. I hope this is landing, because in order to get from point A to point B in your twin flame path, it is a vision and quest. You know, it is something that you kind of chose prior to being incarnated. So the one way I would actually coach myself during very challenging times was saying, Yildiz, you actually chose this. You actually chose your family, your life, how you were going to live, what body you were coming in this world with, and what simulation I was going to be experiencing. So when I would say to myself, geez, you know, did you really choose this? This has got very difficult. I'd say there must have been a reason I chose it to be this way. I must have needed to learn something, and it was going to be a tool to me future tense, or it was really not going to define me any longer, that I started trusting it a bit more. But I think it's really key at this point to not get scared, but to actually look at your vision and quest. Why are you going through this? Because you have a vision and quest. So is that a goal? Is that your twin? Is it the end stage, or is it just for the here and now? You know, sometimes we're willing to shortchange ourselves with something that will just feed the wound. How could that look? It could be, I'm feeling down, so I'm going to eat a bar of chocolate. I'm feeling down, and, you know, I don't know where this is going, so I'll concoct this story in my head to resolve myself to a circumstance. It's going to land very separately for each one of you. I feel there is a lot of you are wanting the bigger picture. Are there steps on your side of the fence you could be looking at? And I do feel Divine Masculine is looking at the bigger picture too. I do feel Divine Masculine is looking at previous connections that maybe were, you know, maybe looking glorious. Maybe they thought it was a twin or a soulmate, but it didn't end up being what it was. Okay. And so now it's almost like for both parties here in the mix, it's like, okay, getting back on your vision and quest. So really casting a critical eye on our own lives, but also the joint connection. There can be some critical energy. It can be a little bit brutal, I'll just be honest. It's a bit like, what have you done for me lately? Okay. Some of you are saying, look, if something was going to move, you know, let's get the ball rolling. What's going on here? This connection is in your heart. It's not that it's not. But there can be also a feeling that, you know, I have coached clients for over 7 years, and I've heard it many times. If they didn't like what they were doing, then why are they in it? And many times what will happen is what you have experienced in your life, they will experience an assimilation in theirs. And so you can mark it against your personal experiences. And so breakups, separations, partnerships with kids, the empathy factor of logic is there is a process, okay? But again, with the desire, the passion, the goal, and us being entangled in that circumstance, we then are looking at it going, well, what the diddly-o is going on? Jealousy and insecurity is a possibility to come up. Now, I had been seeing this more coming through on Divine Masculine side in the last few weeks, but there is a potential that old situations can crop up for Divine Feminine because we're directly not immune to it. We're not immune to it. This could be jolted via a circumstance that is about to play out. For some of you, it could be people from the past coming back. For some of you, it could be behavioral patterns or information that comes towards you that triggers an old memory. But I do feel the jealousy energy is going to crop up, but it's going to be for a given reason. This also can be something that you're observing with the people that directly are around your counterpart. That they have a bee in their bonnet, or that they have some control and insecurities. This could be family members. This could be friends. But I'm going to pull a clarifier on it, but I do see this as something quite large about to come. I feel this is, I feel this is this week. I do. But this also can, like, it's gonna take both feminine and masculine as surprise. It's gonna surprise the both of you. I do feel also there can be some feelings for each other that are gonna resurface, especially if you had got to the stage where you were very detached and nonchalant. I feel it's actually gonna take you by surprise, some of these feelings. Okay. I also feel that this person's energy is going to become incredibly consistent. The consistency of it is almost like, I think it may surprise you. This can be behavioral patterns, this can be attitudes. And I definitely do feel, for those of you in communication, you're going to see that this person is quite committed to you, even though there could be some circumstances that are going to trigger such, and they're almost going to be, I can't say they're going to be tempted. I really don't feel they're going to be tempted. The further into the ascension you get, that's not there. It's very different. It's almost like you've ate enough hay and you're just not going back to that. So I do see that this person is very much focused on you. Those that are in karmic connections, I just feel there's some dramas really spilling over this month. I feel it's going to become heavier and heavier. Yeah, I do feel there's a worry that, and I do feel this is on divine masculine side. They don't want to lose you. They feel the sense that you're pulling away. They feel the sense that you're moving forward. Some of you can also be very worried because of a circumstance that is playing out in their life, that you feel there is a possibility you may lose them in some shape or form. This could be if they may be working away or having to move locations. Definitely, I'm seeing a lot to do with accommodation at this point. I do see this as a huge possibility. I want to pull a clarifier on it. So what is this uncertainty and loss? There's regrets of losing you. It won't, because I posted too many things, Dawn. Yeah, I've posted too many things. We have the element reads done for divine feminine in the members. We have the masculine, feminine, and karmic. You guys are already 2 weeks ahead, so they're done. And so you wouldn't get a notification. It's about following the channel and just going and visiting it. Oh. Some of you may be thinking that you're getting on in life, and that they would not exhibit or have these feelings, but these feelings are very strong for you. These feelings almost because you had a soul walk and you're evolving, you're detaching, you've gone through quite a large purgatory experience. It's sort of like you're really focused on your future. So there's this very detached kind of feel. It's almost like you've embodied divine masculine energy to a degree. But you're really looking at it going, look, how do I explain it? There is a maturity with you, but they're feeling almost like they may lose you. They may miss you. I do feel you're still coming through as a traditional energy. You're just doing things in moderation. You are guided to do things in moderation. I do feel you also are attracting in something slow and consistent, and you'd be happy with something slow and consistent, but it is quite traditional. Your approach maybe is having to be slow. There could be a lot to do with external influences around this person at this point coming up. Those of you in communication with this individual may have some very interesting friends. They are really outgrowing it though. But at the moment, it's like sticky beaks involving themselves. This also could be karmics. I do feel some karmics are actually having ancestors transcend over. I also feel a reference to, if that has already happened, it's almost like there's something of a stalemate is ending. But that's in a positive thing. That's not in a negative thing. So it feels almost like if that was binding both individuals, it's no longer resonating. What is this in relationship to? Okay, a cat. I'm hearing the term a cat is getting out of the bag. You're going to know if they're telling you a porcupine. I just feel some of you are presuming this person is really happy in their own life, and I think that's one very singular message. This can be around the karmic energy. I'm also hearing divine feminine and masculine need to be very careful with their circle of friends. I do feel that there could be some nasty pieces of work out that are trying to conjure up some drama. Be careful of your connections. I do feel both parties are very protective of each other. I do feel some sense of a judgment is going to come this week. This can be the precipice of change. For some of you, it also can be that you're changing directions in your personal life. But this also can be linking to divine masculine. Yeah. I definitely do see career transitions. One would ask, okay, why has that come up in a romance read? Well, how do you get from point A to point B? Sometimes we have blockages in our life, and you do have power on your side of the fence. So if there is a circumstance and you can see it as a physical blockage, 9 times out of 10, if you address it, the door's open. Some of you are wary of a person that is around you. Yeah. It's something to do with a friend or somebody that knows your twin. You're gauging it. You're testing it. Okay. Where are they at? Okay, they are wanting a new beginning, and they do see you. They have looked upon the karmic cycle at times that the individual, you got to watch these people, like it's coming up quite a bit. And I do feel it's a spiritual test, so that when you're in the joint connection, both parties are going to pass the spiritual test. It always happens that way. It's almost like a simulation happens on your side. Bang, you kind of pass that test. It happens on their side, and then the same similar event happens within the joint connection. It's so that you don't repeat these patterns and that you have a very strong kind of foundation and footing. Look, divine masculine side of the fence, in relationship to you, they do have a lot of passion with you. They do have love. They're hoping that you will forgive them. They are in that 5D energy of manifesting things. But it is a new chapter, okay? So it's not like you can just go back to yesterday and start off. You kind of do, but you don't, because it's a brand new situation. I feel some could have an issue surrounding a child. This also could have been their childhood, but I feel this is one particular kind of message. It's not going to land for all of them. There could be either individuals around them that have manipulated them due to tribe and family. I feel that they are moving beyond that. They have the empathy, they have the understanding, but at the same time, they're like, this is not stopping me. Hi, Shazza. It's not stopping them. They're just aware of that. They're aware of the wound, and they're aware of the fact that other individuals utilize that wound to control them. And they're like, not today. Not today. Yeah, this has been a long time coming. They're like, it's been in their mind for a long time what it is, what has been blocking them, why they hadn't proceeded forward. Also, for those of you that do have children, they're very connected to your children. They do feel the karmic in the past has been a gold digger. You know, manipulated, maybe sold some porcupines, but really only really in it for selfishness. They also have been quite critical towards themselves of, due to being burnt, maybe reacting that way towards you, but it had nothing to do with you. Yeah, it was like they needed to learn that lesson. They didn't mean to take it out on you. It was more to do with a past tense connection that was causing issues in their vibration of trust. Yeah, I do feel they are really looking at it going, okay, now that I'm aware of that, I can actually be the better version of myself. I can prevent myself from attracting these individuals into my life. Yeah, just not wanting to have people that really aren't committed to them in their life. It's like, yeah, almost, yeah, being everything in that. No. This can be a big conversation they're about to have with a pocket group of people. I really feel this pushback. Yeah, they're not in their heads anymore. They know that that pressure point has come to this point of being almost an absolute burden. And that burden has been something they've been carrying, and it's been pushing them further and further into a box. And they're wanting their power back now. They're like, you know, I'm absolutely kidding myself here. I know what this situation is. It's not manageable. It's not my cross to bear. Why am I doing all of this? And so there's some sense of acceptance of what it directly is, but not acceptance in a sense of I'm going to do everything. I'm going to be manipulated by it. They do feel manipulated. There has been a lot of manipulating energy around them for a very long time. It's almost like they've been on a trip and it's coming to an end. Yeah, that it's okay. I'm hearing the song. What movie is that? I'm Coming Home. That's what I'm hearing. I'm coming home. Some of them are having dreams about actually living with you and how it would feel, coming home, living a life, being, you know, just being themselves. They have had a bit of a blockage by it. And again, I do think it's because of the manipulating energy. I do feel it's also that if they thought it was going to be drama, they were waiting to try and find a solution. They may be seeing the 111. Some of you also, in the context of seeing your twin, may be thinking about the circumstance and a blockage in the path and be seeing the 111. Solution is coming. Don't look at it as a blockage. Ask universe to aid you in this process, because some of you are just feeding the devil card, where I think if you ask your guides, a solution is going to be given to you, but you need to then relinquish power so that that can alchemize, because I do feel their deepest desire is to be with you, but for some reason, this karmic cycle, it's almost like we're refeeding it. So by asking your guides to assist you, I feel you're going to have some movement. I do feel there's a lot of conversations coming up here. And I do feel for some of you could have a lot of Mercury energy. There's creativity. There's the throat chakra. You're really intellectualizing things. You also, you know, from frustration of your dreams, it's almost like you could be going 10 steps forward, 10 steps back. But you are getting somewhere. On the 5D, connect to the dream. Remember the first card. We're getting back into a vision and quest. Okay, there has been a lot of extremes that you've been through in your twin flame path. But I also feel you also could be working very, very hard for $1. Okay, very hard. Some of you also can feel that you are stuck in between a rock and a hard place and you don't know what to do. This could be linking to your path. So it's like you think you're going to say something, then you stop. You think you're going to text, then you stop. This could be emailing, seeing, going. There's this push-pull dynamic going on. There's something that needs to be articulated. There is something in the back of your mind that you feel is coming. You're painting two paths here. You may be having this can feel like a backup plan, but I don't feel that in a bad way. I feel it's like another alternative to addressing kind of the situation. This is really frustrating you. You know, so this honestly oozes by the end of the month, something's going to pop. You're worried about, some of you could be worried about your counterpart. Some of you are more thinking, I've been making sacrifices. I need to articulate this because I don't know how much longer I can do it. I will love you and leave you. We'll get into the super chats shortly. I'll PM you, or the notification will come up. Click the bell on it. It is on Premiere. And for those of you that want to come and join us for that, otherwise we will be back next week to do the joint connection and see what's coming up. Let's read the Ruin cast before I love you and leave you. Ruin cast. What is it? Raven, very Scorpio. Oh, good God. Okay, so there's something ending. There's something coming to a close. It's like a volcanic. Odin, Raven, Earth. Homeland and ancestry property. Hero, the archetype of the hero's journey. Returning to one's roots. Homeland, ancestral property, family, home, inheritances. Esoteric, ancestor spirits, garden closure, universal truth. Reverse, degeneration and ruthlessness. Ancestral spirit, own identity, the ties that bind but don't restrict. I do feel this is in linking to a karmic cycle being cut. But again, remember, a karmic does not have to be a romantic partner. We can, through the astrology, have situations to do with exes from the past, heart-centered energy, playfulness, creativity, hierarchy. This can be family. It also can be groups and what they're needing us. This can be friends, especially with the Aquarian moon. It's like friends and groups. You could have challenges with them coming up, but it's also, knowing that it doesn't directly have to impact it, that we can have friends, but these situations are permission-based. So don't feed the fair. Sit with your energy, see how this energy lands for you. I will check in with it later, but I do feel there's something really coming to a popping point for a direct shift. Could it look like a tower? I do, but directly it's going to transform the vision of the future. Love and light. I'll see you all soon for the super chats.